During our time at CES this year, we were able to catch up with Doug DeMuro, YouTuber and owner of Cars and Bids, along with staff reporter Richard Truett, to talk about what got their attention. Is there anything that you've read about specifically that you want to mention, or I have some stuff I can mention and could just discuss it?
There's a lot of crazy concept cars, but to me, the most exciting thing is an electric Mercedes G-Wagon, which I'm like here for. I'm so into.
Well, there's an electric Range Rover coming, so a big, heavy off-road electric vehicle, they're going to have some competition for the 15 people who want that thing, right?
Well, the Rivian seems to do pretty well, and that's at least here in California, we see them all over the place, and so that's done okay. And so we'll see how an electric G-Wagon and Range Rover do. Now they'll all be vying for that slice of that pie.
I think the Rivian will have the advantage because it's going to be a lighter weight vehicle than the Range Rover or the G-Wagon, right? So
yeah, I'm curious to see. I don't know what an electric G-Wagon will end up being like, but in order to preserve the style and the appearance of it, it's going to have some interesting compromises. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Now, on the topic of EVs, the thing I saw this week especially was Honda coming out with their concept of their EVs. Were you able to take a look of that? Any of the concepts of that?
Yes. So there's two. It looks like there's this like sports car thing that looks absolutely crazy called the Saloon, and then there's like a van called the Space Hub. And they both seem really cool. The Saloon seems to be getting most of the press and most of the excitement because it almost looks like a Lamborghini, like an old ridiculous wedge shape. But the van, the Space Hub, also looks cool. The back of it looks like a futuristic place where you'd hang out and ride around while someone drives you. They both seem really cool.
Today, I just passed it, and even Honda had their little, almost like suitcase scooters you could sit on. I don't know, Richard, have you seen those?
I've seen people whizzing by, yeah.
Yeah, they had those on display. Those are really cool. But those are
it's interesting how it reminds me of like old car shows where the concept cars used to be kind of a thing. Like you don't really see concept cars as much. Like these Hondas are obviously not going to go to production like this, and there's very scant on real details. But it's cool to like see these ridiculous looking cars and be like, okay, this is maybe the future. It's kind of neat.
With your experience with reviewing cars and just your whole round, your YouTube channel, all that stuff, what do you think the like emerging trends are with this electric vehicle industry?
It seems to me like, in the past, powertrain was a big distinguishing point between cars, and now that vehicles are electric, you can't really distinguish with powertrain like you used to be able to. And so it seems like design and technology are going to be at the forefront of like the electric world. Like how do cars look? What kind of cool tech do they have? That sort of thing. And the Hondas are great examples of that. And you're seeing other cars shown at CES that like fly or have flying components. And it's like the weirdness and the craziness and the quirkiness is going to have to become a big part of these cars because, under the skin, they're all going to be fast and do 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. And, that stuff's all going to be sort of taken for granted pretty soon. And the only way automakers are going to be able to distinguish themselves is things like this Honda that just look totally crazy.
I don't know if you've seen the VinFast has now put their truck out there. It's called the Wild. The presentation for that was crazy. They had the dancers, I forgot their name, the famous dancers with the masks, smoke everywhere.
The big mystery is who did they get to design it? Because it's pretty slick. And the other unanswered question is that we know that they can make a vehicle that looks good, but boy, the reviews have been brutal and savage for VinFast products. So they may make something that looks good, but they better get their engineering straight or they're going to have a real tough time.
Yep, that's what I've been hearing.
It reminds me, though, of like when Kia first came to the U.S. and when Toyota first came to the U.S., like in the 60s for Toyota and Kia was the 90s, like people were so unsure and so uncertain, and there was some real negativity, deserved. I mean, when Hyundai came in the 80s, it was like, this is a joke company. And like over time, they kind of made things better. And I think you're already seeing that with VinFast. The initial cars, yes, horrible reviews. That truck, though, does look really cool. And they're also showing off this VF3, this like tiny little SUV, which looks really kind of neat. Like this is like people have been asking for the Suzuki Jimny to come over here for years. Well, this is like an electric little cute version of that. And I wonder, maybe VinFast will get the message here pretty quick.